Hey, welcome to In Other News. I'm Robin Robinson, and we had something else entirely planned for today, but how you just can't ignore what's happened over the last week with election 2024. If you happen to go to sleep early one night, you woke up the next day to an entirely new landscape of the upcoming presidential election, which of course is not the only thing you should be paying attention to. Don't forget all those smaller offices on down from that, the Senate, the House of Representatives, your school board, whatever small elections are going on around you, we need to pay attention. I know some people don't think it makes a difference. I happen to think it makes a difference. And I'm joined by a dear friend of mine who also believes that being engaged and involved politically and civically makes a difference. Carl West is the publisher of Truth Be Told and also Public Eye. And I have to say this, Carl, you were one of the earliest adapters of a digital information platform. How long have you been? I mean, you have, first of all, tens of thousands of people that open your stuff every day.
Yes.
How long have you been doing the
It was
Truth Be Told?
14 years this past April.
So before there was good technology to make it easy.
It was 14 years this past April, and it's been a good run. It's been a very long run. My eyeballs hurt.
Look at that
My
screen.
eyeballs hurt. I had to pull back from doing a lot of the writing over the last 2 years because literally my eyeballs were like beaming.
You're like
They was
you're a one man band almost. I mean,
they
you
was they
had
was
contributors, but
I had contributors, but I was trying to write most of the content because it was my expression, and I wanted to be able to deliver a message from my own personal experience and what I thought from my viewpoint, my vantage point. But then, as time goes on, like any business, you progress, you make adjustments, you try to make the best possible decisions on how you can still maximize the product, but also do minimal work.
okay. So I know that politics is not the only thing that's in Truth Be Told, but I
Oh,
also know you to be an astute observer who really not only do you speak your mind, but you can change your mind given new information. And
absolutely.
I respect that. And I know you've been paying attention to the evolution of the presidential race.
Well, who hasn't? I mean, you have to be under a rock not to understand what's going on with that. And I find it. I mean, one day it's like the air was going out of the balloon, and all of a sudden the next day the helium just started floating it back to the top. And so here we are, excited about this new opportunity with this incredible candidate. I think Kamala's definitely an aspiring candidate, but I think based on Biden's track record, anybody could have stepped in that spot and excited us
Well,
for the short run anyway.
right.
I think she's going to take us to the long run, but for the short run, we'd have been happy if anybody would have just stepped in that was 20 years less his elder and been on the spot. So it was mainly about how do we take him out of the equation.
So when you say his track record, you don't mean what he's done. It's kind of how he seems and how
how
he.
how he's projected to the public presently, it wasn't a good look. I mean, we all saw what we saw, but we saw it even before that debacle
The
on the
debate.
debate. We saw it before. I mean, he walks like one of the mummies. He walked like a mummy. I was like,
Too easy to make memes about him, right?
it was way too easy with that mummy thing. He looked like a mummy too. I'll be honest with you. God bless his soul. I'm glad I hope he's still sleeping right now.
You hope he's sleeping in today.
He's been sleeping since he made the announcement.
Well, a relief, and I'm sure a lot of soul searching went into that, and he's going to, address by the time many people
His
see this.
ego, he had to put his ego way to the side because you at that level of the game. You at the ultimate level of that power. It's hard to release that. Even at his age, at any age, it's hard to release that power when you have your hand on everything that makes this country, makes America move. It is in your hands for the most part. Letting that go is hard.
But you said something interesting to me that you thought, even before this happened, that had Biden stayed in the race, you felt that he was going to win.
Anyway, it would have been a tough road in terms of us as his supporters, whoever we are across the country, because we cringe at knowing that this dude is at the wheel. But I think that I want to believe, and I said this to you, and you said, Carl, you was typically a skeptic. I was like, in this regards, because there's so much at stake, my life, the life of my children, and the life of my community, and life of my race, that I didn't think this country has been extremely horrible to black people, extremely horrible. There's nothing they can do to make up for that horror except reparations, and they seem to not want to give that. Okay, that's another thing. But I still believe that this country also believe in this country enough that they would not want to see it go down the tubes by a man like Donald Trump, because they also have to defend their children's future. And I just believe that there's not enough of those fanatics that call themselves Trumpsters, MAGAs. It's not enough of them to really put him in a position where he could win based on who he is present and who he was past. The past was a fluke. I don't know how he got in. I don't know how he got to that point. I'm still mad at America for allowing him to even grace the White House for 4 years. I said they ain't gonna let him do it again. They're not gonna let him do it again.
So you were optimistic to a
Yeah.
certain point, but now much more so.
Yeah, she's gonna smoke this clown. She's gonna smoke this
You
clown.
heard it first.
She's gonna
Quote,
smoke. She's gonna
this
smoke
clown.
this clown.
Okay.
This dude will have no chance of going up against not just her, but the excited American people. Now, again, it's not about Kamala directly. She's an instrument, but it's about the sweet music of salvation that we don't have this nut to play with for 4 years.
So, was there ever any thought in your mind if Biden steps aside, they may skip over Kamala Harris for fear that white America won't vote for a black woman for president?
I never gave it a second thought. I never thought of who would be next because I thought it wouldn't matter. Anybody other than him, just to spur the excitement. Again, as I said, I thought he would win, but now the excitement of him not being present because they dog and the Democratic Party has to take account of this because they were turncoats. I mean, when Trump got convicted of these crimes by a court of people of his peers, not one Republican went against him. They all was like, we don't care about that. He's our man.
They were unified.
He was our man. But as soon as Biden stumbled, the Democratic Party started taking shots at him. I thought that was the most disloyal thing of a party. I don't want to be a part of y'all party because y'all disloyalty. I do want to roll with the Republicans because they stick by their man. They stick by Trump. They have not said one thing bad about him.
They'll be reaching out to you soon. They'll say we could get Carl West.
Hey, but if I can depend on y'all loyalty, because we all will have moments when we need people to stand up and for us and with us, and they prove to be very loyal to their man.
Well, arguably, they are afraid of their man because they were not loyal in 2020. They were not that loyal in 2016. The regular Republicans were Trump bashing, and
Sure.
then they were voted out of office. So it's not necessarily the party leaders. They are perhaps following the constituency that is pretty far right. Many people would argue. And then there's the invisible constituency that we don't know
Absolutely.
may be supporting him. But now we have the attacks on Kamala Harris. She is the newest one is she was a DEI hire. But the constant theme is dumb and stupid, as if they can't think of anything more exact or more, they can't point anything else. So if you just keep telling your Republican supporters that she's dumb and stupid and a DEI hire, can that work?
They talking to the choir. You just said telling their Republicans constituents. They talking to the choir. They're not trying to change the minds of people who know better. They just wanted to make sure they reiterate that to their people is how we got to galvanize y'all. But they was gonna be galvanized anyway because of just Trump being there. They was already riding with him. So they just really making themselves look absolutely ridiculous with these claims of DUI and she ain't smart. I mean, it also shows the real racist connection to the Republican Party that y'all would. I mean, all this stuff about the colors. I mean, I'm like, are y'all really? Well, no, they're not tripping because they for real. But it's just showing their true colors front and center. And so, but we ain't really. I mean, we like y'all tripping.
But that doesn't make
that don't make a difference. We know. Yeah.
The former speaker, the one that they ousted, is saying they need to stop those kinds of attacks because it will backfire. He also, Mike McCarthy, also pointed out that the calls for Biden to resign from the presidency because if he's not fit to run, he's not fit to rule. McCarthy says, "Oh, so you want President Kamala Harris early so she can be on Air Force One. So if there's any kind of disaster, she can be front and center. Be careful what you ask for. So there's still some division, but people are the people supporting Trump in his party really are afraid to take any step to the left or to the center. Look at Nikki Haley.
Well, you can be look. Sometimes you can show leadership through fear as well as through just great leadership. It doesn't matter as long as the job gets done,
It
right?
matters in the long run, though,
In
I
the
think.
well, yeah, that's why you make adjustments on the long term. But they was worried about this short run.
Right.
This short run was the next 3, 4, 5 months to get us over the finish line, so we can get this championship, which is the presidency. That right there is, we don't care how you do it, just get it done. That's all they cared about. Let's get this thing done. And unfortunately, they being emotional right now. They being emotional.
Does seem to have thrown their blueprint into a bit of
It
a flux.
The game plan is totally revamped because here's this person comes along again. I'm not going to necessarily give it on Kamala. She's a great candidate, experienced, unquestioned, smart, unquestioned, talented, unquestioned, attractive older lady, unquestioned, stable family, all the things you ask for in America, unquestioned. But it's not Biden. And we just excited because they fed us this Biden is horrible, even from our side. They fed that to us. We was just rolling with Biden. We saw him stumble, but we'd have been like the next day, we'd be like, well, he screwed up, but hey, we still ride with him because that's how I do. The Democratic Party put that out there that we need to do something different. And so we just kind of flow. We got fed that. And I was getting so mad every time I saw somebody come out and say it, a Democrat. I was like, I hope when Biden wins, he take you somewhere and line you up.
No, no, that would be like a different candidate. But
No, but you can't go against me like that, man, in public. Come behind closed doors and grill me, holler at me, give me some kind of pill, boost me up with
stop it,
but you
stop
can't
it.
come out in public. You had
Oh, very
mayors,
public.
governors,
Oh,
you
George
had
Clooney took out a full page ad
George
in the New York
Clooney.
Times. So I got
How
a
can you
question.
do that? How can you? That is not loyalty. Loyalty is something that I'm rolling with you no matter what publicly. We got to show a great it's like husbands and wives. We could be fighting behind closed doors, but when we step outside, you holding my hand and we smiling and we are as one. And people look at that and admire that because everybody know them cats ain't all that great. Behind doors, he might be on something else. When you come
Okay,
out in
we're
front of
not
this
gonna have you do
camera,
the domestic violence
you
PSA, okay?
you come in
Because
front of this camera, it ain't got to be just domestic violence. Just be having a hard
just
time
having
with
a
a
hard time.
relationship.
No, I
It
understand.
can be financial. It can be with the children. It can be a whole host of things.
I'm saying in public.
In public, we got to have a show of face. It's the no. It's the American way. Always, what they say, always let them see you smiling. Always have that big grin on your face. People are attracted to the smile. And if you got something behind it,
Well,
it's a winning formula.
one thing I found interesting was talking to young people who had previously been very lukewarm about Biden,
Sure.
not just because of age, but because of the situation in Gaza. They are much more inclined to be worried about the Palestinian genocide that's going on and to be protesting that and not liking our policies in terms of the alliance with Israel, which is, as you know, very longstanding and a complicated political
Very,
dilemma.
very complicated.
However, when I would say, well, what about Kamala Harris? This is to my grown young people, she was a prosecutor and she put a lot of black people in jail. But then when it happened, all of a sudden, we definitely going to vote. All of a sudden, there was a level of excitement, which was interesting because they didn't want to act like they would be excited about her because as Nikki Haley pointed out in her speech at the Republican National Convention, she said one line. She didn't even have to provide any backup points. She says, be clear that a vote for the Joe Biden administration is a vote for the Kamala Harris administration, as if to say Biden was not going to live through a whole another 4 years, and that she didn't have to add anything to it. She didn't have to say why that would be a bad thing, just that it would be a Kamala Harris administration, which to me is just like, you don't want that black woman in charge without saying it. Nikki Haley also, there's a group called Voters. They were called Nikki Haley Voters for Biden. Nobody heard of them. Nobody bothered them. They changed their name to Nikki Haley Voters for Kamala. And now she wants them to cease and desist. We paid no attention to it when it was for Biden, but now so I do believe that the attention that Kamala Harris is garnering is kind of ruffling the feathers over on the other side.
Well, absolutely, because we still look. There are situations where sometimes you can't tell who's who between the Democrats and the Republican when it comes to black issues.
Because neither one has done great shakes for
Absolutely,
us, right?
absolutely. So we just happen to have a we just happen to be in a situation where the Democrat just happen to have the black support for over the last 50 years per
Well,
se.
basically, yeah.
But we already know anybody that's smart enough to understand. Sometimes there's no difference because you guys get together, y'all fight and y'all bicker, but then all y'all go together, go play golf together, and y'all have one thing in common: keeping them people out this
And
place.
keeping your office. Well,
Keeping
sometimes
your
we compare
yeah
it's Coke and Pepsi, right?
yeah.
It's a big difference, and that
What's
is
the
one
di-
of the things that perhaps the Democratic Party will learn is that you got
They
to
won't
have some
learn.
deliverables,
They
or
won't.
we'll be in the same
They won't
situation
learn
4
it
years
because
from now. Well, maybe we should think about.
they arrogance is just as high as the Republicans because they all part of the same. They all part of the same frat.
Well, are we
They
confident
all
enough?
part of the same frat.
Are we
We have to be real. We have to be
right?
real about
Are
that.
we confident enough to think that we can change the electoral process so that there is the possibility for another party? Just having a two-party
Never
system.
gonna happen. Never gonna
Don't say
happen.
never. I thought
Never.
you were more optimistic these
I
days.
know not about that. I am about the. I'm about maybe it rain, maybe it don't.
Okay.
But about that,
No,
no. Them
can't
folks
happen.
will. Them folks would do another insurrection if they thought they was gonna change the two-party system because.
It's not a two-party system. It's not supposed to be. That
But
is not
it's
what the
not
intention
supposed to.
was.
Says who? Which forefather said
Well,
that?
they did a lot of stuff that wasn't so great, but that's one thing they did say was that it should not just become a two-party system.
And it's okay. Well, give us a third one. They've tried for years and years and
Not
years.
give us. We have to create one.
Who's going to create it? They've
First, you
tried.
gotta
The
change the rules.
Libertarians, the Green Party, they've all tried, and they couldn't get enough traction to do anything. So
Maybe they could get together.
they,
Something's got to happen. We have to change the electoral
it's like
process.
It's like religion.
Okay.
I have my belief, you have yours, and we can coexist together.
Okay, but I'm still going to keep my ear to the ground for a movement that will
It won't happen
actually
in our
revise
lifetime.
the system
It
and
won't happen
also
in our,
keep
it
it
won't
from
happen in our lifetime.
being
Our children's
something
lifetime.
you can buy.
They will never have a more than a two-party system ever,
Okay, well,
ever.
you have to have a lot of money to win
Ever.
any office.
ever.
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 Okay. You feel
Ever.
that strongly about it?
How long has it been?
I don't know, but
It's certain
there are
things that don't
movements.
change.
There's open primaries movement. There's ranked choice voting movement. There are people who realize
But
that the system is
you
broken and rigged.
you got multi-billionaires who are controlling the two-party system, and they would who's going to fund the third-party system?
Well, lucky
You said it takes money, right?
it takes money
Takes-
just to win an office, and that's part of what needs to change in our election process.
And these folks still got children and grandchildren who will keep this
Inherit and
process.
all that.
They will inherit this two-system process.
So monarchy it is, huh? Okay.
If you call it that,
Yeah,
I mean, the two-party system is not half bad. You just have to have. You just have to have. You just have to change the personalities of the people who control it.
For the intentions, motivations. et cetera.
Absolutely.
So
Nothing wrong with two-party system. Nothing wrong with a man and a woman.
right. Which means
I guess they try to change that too.
okay, we're gonna hit all the issues. Okay.
They try to change that
But they
too.
say there's nothing wrong with it. They're saying there's also that
It's a process that has worked for thousands of years.
But
A
not for
man and a
everybody.
woman, a man and a woman for everybody.
Not for everybody.
That's as of late. A man and a woman come together to procreate and give the world, continue to add to the world, and that's been the system all along. Now, it changed. It's changing.
It's also been a system that a woman is second to a man up until 1985.
I just told you it's changing.
It's changing.
It's
Okay,
changing.
All right, you're not
And
saying.
I have no problem with the change. I just made an example of that the system works, and it will always work. You can add a third party like they've done, Libertarian, Green Party, and you can add another lifestyle over here. But the lifestyle that will continue to dominate will always be the party of a man and a woman. That will never not exist at its highest level.
Well, they're not saying that either one of the parties has to cease to exist. All right, what I'm saying is that I hold out hope for a better configuration so that people can be represented. Because it ain't worked for us. It hasn't worked for. It has not. It's created what you think is at the root of
It can work
everything.
for us, but we have to change our mentality. That means that we don't have to give all our vote to one party. We should have a right to have a division in our
Absolutely.
community. And
Absolutely.
if you had an equal amount on each part, on each side, and then now you could play that balance.
And then maybe they'd have to represent your interests.
Absolutely.
Which is right now there is absolutely no incentive
That's because
to go across the aisle.
we are absolutely foolish. We absolutely blind in that regard.
Okay.
What makes us want to give one party all of our vote, and then when somebody does it, you look at them like, "Who are you? Are you?"
We
And
do
we,
have to look at what the parties have done, and so but let's.
but that's what
I'm not
but
going to be able to
that's what
get to
helps change that. We'll
right.
That's what helps change that. If I'm at the table over on both sides,
Hmm.
I can decide what the meal looks like. I don't have to have nobody just bringing me a plate and telling
Right.
me to eat it. I can decide what we gonna eat because I have some leverage, and we have leverage by what numbers. If our numbers are very small over here,
Right. Well,
then they're gonna hear our voices. Oh, your voices don't count. They'll do what they did. Well, I ain't gonna do that to my man. He's a good
okay.
guy. My man's a good guy. He gave a benediction for the Republican place.
Oh, you talking about
He's a good guy.
Tory Burks?
He's a good guy.
Our
That's my
pastor.
man.
Well,
That's my
people have a
man.
right,
He's a good guy.
certainly. You can't demonize anyone for being in a party that you aren't a part of, right?
Exactly.
We
That's
have
my
that.
point.
We have
That's
that
my
freedom.
point. But we should dominate. We should dominate both parties
Well,
because of our.
we are
Yeah.
14% of the population. African Americans are. We 92% of black people voted for Biden last round. However, this by May, the polls in May or so were saying that up to 20% of black men polled were saying that they were leaning towards or going to vote for Trump.
I didn't believe that.
You know, well,
I don't
it's
buy
hard to
it.
believe any of the polls, right?
Exactly. But that one I didn't believe.
Right, even though
I ain't met. I only fools I know vote for Trump are fools.
okay, but if they do, they are exercising their freedom
And
of choice.
and they can.
But one thing about you, I'm going to shift a little bit here because
Sure.
even though we're talking about the 2024 election, I
Yeah.
happen to know that you don't believe that whoever we elect is going to be the savior of the situation we find ourselves in. That that it requires something more than those we elect to represent us.
Are you kidding me? No, I just told you they all cut from the same cloth.
Okay, so what do you think is the most important thing to change?
I mean, we have to build wealth. This is what I'm telling Brandon. I tell anybody, Brandon as the mayor and the governor,
Brandon Johnson. He's
Johnson is the mayor.
basis, but okay.
We have to build our own wealth mechanism. We cannot be so far behind in the wealth building mechanism that because money, we just talked about what can rule down politics, money. We have to put ourselves in a position where we have loot to invest in our interests. You invest in your interests. If we can't invest in our interests, and then we will lose every trip, no matter who's in office, because they look at us to do one thing. What? We know local politics. We know our local aldermanic and legislators downstate. They go with the money. Whoever is giving them the money is the people they typically vote with. They got lobbyists that's down there spreading the wealth to them so they can vote on their behalf. We ain't giving money like that, so therefore we don't get what we should get. As long as we don't have paper, I'm talking about long paper.
Right. So
You talking about a guy
that's
like
part of the
Senator?
systemic issue that it requires. They're not because they're. It's not because they're bad people that they want you to give money in order for them to represent you. It's because that's how the system works. I
Yeah.
have a friend running for the new elected seats on the Chicago School Board. She says it's going to take $300,000 to run for that seat. I'm like, that is a school board seat. So if it takes money, then they might want to do everything for everybody who has no money, but they have to attract the money to run and win. There is something wrong with the system.
All I'm saying is we have to have people.
okay. Yeah. Bottom line, that sounds.
We gotta have some real dough to change the dynamics of our community from the ground up to the top up. Because that's the difference I said to my man Sachs when he asked me about that. Y'all got the dough. Y'all got the dough to
You
control.
say your man Sachs. You're talking Michael Sachs, who of course is the head of Grosvenor.
Yep, and he is the chairman of the DNC committee, putting on all of the activities and events. And
Right.
so I talk to him regularly now, just trying to figure out what this whole thing
He
looks
also
like.
has been an investor in neighborhood economics.
He's done a lot for the communities, man. He should be applauded, which I always try to keep him close by because he is one of them cats that really care. And so his interest is that Chicago be a successful, progressive place for all people. He believes that. He believes that, and he puts his money where his mouth is, and I appreciate that to him. I appreciate that of him. But again, at the end of the day, he will say the same exact thing. In order for you guys to have any real influence and power, y'all got to be able to put the dough on the table too. You got to have equal dough on the table. I can't put up 90 and you put up 10 and think now I'm supposed to give you 90% of the of access. No, you get the access you pay for.
Well, I know at the same time that you believe in in closing the wealth gap as really the fundamental answer. You also are have of a charitable heart. You are with the Black United Fund, and you're writing a book, and you're pushing a huge mentoring program.
Yeah, yeah.
How can we help you?
I mean, just how we help everybody, man. We support the cause. We support causes that are true to us. We support causes that are about progressing our communities forward, plain and simple. And I don't care if it's mine or anybody else's. I mean, you know, I've been blessed enough to have been poured into over the years. I'm gonna go back to the time when I was mentored from brothers told me to not go this way, go that way, save my life. I never forget that. So this book is about telling our generation that we need to be more active in our own communities, helping to transform the lives of young people. We can't sit back and just complain. And so the initiative I'm working on now is called All Hands on Deck, a citywide mentor initiative, where all hands have to be on deck. Everybody got to make a contribution to save, transform the lives of young people, which we always say is our future. If it's our future, then why ain't we investing in that future individually and collectively? We have to do that. I'm not afraid of doing it. I walk it, and so I'm excited about that. But the whole thing is to encourage, without beating people side the head. I want to lead by my actions. If I'm doing this, and I want to encourage my peers, my circle of influence, to do the same.
Okay.
And that's really it's pretty basic on that regards. I mean, like with the Black United Fund being the chairman, you know how wonderful that is to me to had been a part of the organization when I was coming up, and then to have the founder put me on the board at the point. Then when he died, to have the founding board members who are all in place, Dr. Conrad, Dr. Starks, they all said, Carl, we want you to lead this organization as the chairman. Do you know what that means to me? I mean, I wear that. It makes me walk a certain kind of way, knowing that these men put that trust in me.
All right, so all hands on deck. We'll look to hear more about that mentoring program in Chicago.
The
And
book
the book is
is called The Support System. I'm actually looking at the proof today.
okay.
As I'm speaking right now, the proof is being delivered to me right now to stamp it, to go out. So it should hit the streets next month. And I'm going to do a huge um, launch event. And then I got, matter of fact, you one of them. I want you to help do the launch in terms of the committee to come on and do the
I'm
event.
all hands on
And
deck.
I know you are. And then I'm calling all my favors in all the years that I've supported and helped people, and I'm calling them all in. Everybody do a book signing for me at your house, at your office, at your a place you rent. 5 people or more.
We'll be here at the No-Tell co-working space.
And I want my man, my Gemini partner, my man who runs this with his wonderful partner. He's a Gemini man, so I know I can
So
expect
all
him to.
four of y'all will be there. Okay.
No, it's 4. I don't know how many he got. I got 5 of
You
me.
can find with you.
It's 4 Carls and 1 Carla.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much, Carl West. Carl West, and what you speak to is that it is beyond politics. The answers and the solutions definitely lie within each of us. But these politics lately sure are interesting. So I'm gonna have
It's
you
a
back.
wonderful sport. It's just a sport. This is a sport. That's what it is.
But we got to make sure that the final score goes.
And
our
they
way.
want the chip. Everybody wants the chip to be between the Democrats and Republicans. Every 4 years, you get a chance to fight for the chip. Just like basketball, just like football. Every year, you get to fight for that chip. And then what do they say when you lose the chip? I'm coming back to get it. I got to go retool, but I'm coming back because I want that chip next
But
time.
what's being said is there's a plan that when they get the chip, they'll change the rules so the chip can never change hands again. So that would be a bit of a problem. Carl West.
That's only the other dude. Well,
That's
we got this chip.
We got this.
We
too?
got this one this
All
time.
right, I love that confidence.
Yeah.
Carl West, Truth Be Told,
Yes.
and Public Eye, and United
Black United Fund of
Black United
Illinois.
Fund.
You got it.
And got a book.
Acronyms Buffy.
Buffy. Okay, I like that. All right.
Robin,
and we'll
thank
get
you and
book.
your whole team for allowing me to be here and talk this stuff.
Yeah, you do talk some stuff. But we appreciate you. All right, that's in other news. Went a little long today because I just couldn't help myself. Have a great day.
Stuff.
Talking that stuff. I forgot to tell people, do subscribe. He is.